No, I definitely, I mean, one of the ways that I would kind of describe when I first like was really, really, really struggling in like 2019 was it felt like there was like some type of a blanket between me and anyone I was talking to or the world. So even if I wanted to connect, I just couldn't feel the connection. It just didn't, I don't know, everything was like a miss. And that was a really scary feeling. And I also feel like it sends you into these, or at least for me, sends me into these cycles where it's like I isolate because I'm feeling like really anxious, or I'm having, you know, obsessive thoughts, or I'm feeling really bad, you know? And so I isolate, but then that just makes it worse. And it's like, it's kind of like hard, but also like rewarding over time to like learn how to be the strong person that you need to get yourself out of those cycles. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think that it's a very tough thing because to some degree, if we could tell everybody that, hey, kind of like, right now when people have COVID or people have pneumonia or something, it's like, hey, I need a little bit of time and I'll pull back and I'll see you when I get out of it. In some ways, it would be so great if people could do that for mental health issues, because sometimes it is really helpful to kind of retreat and take care of yourself. But there's always this fear that people won't get it and they'll think that you're disconnecting for another reason. And so it's almost like we don't give people that same grace, if you will, when it comes to mental health issues. So it can really be damaging.
Yeah. No, for sure. And it can be hard on relationships too, because sometimes it's hard to communicate honestly in those situations.
Yeah. And the thing that you talk about, I think, is something that a lot of people describe, which is the idea that I could be sitting here, I could be talking with someone, and I could know intellectually that this is a good connection. But if I don't feel it, there's only so long I can believe it.
Right.
Because we go so much from the gut in terms of how we feel about something that, and depression and OCD definitely interfere with that. You could be really, really, really having a great conversation. Person on the other end may think like, wow, this is great. And you may even kind of know it is. But if you don't feel it at some point, it's not going to be the same for you.
Yeah, it's actually crazy you say that. I definitely relate to that. Yeah, in a lot of different ways. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that, getting on this topic of connecting to people is that one of the things sometimes you need to do in order to check in with yourself is to be still.
Yeah.
And you've talked about in the media the idea that you get nervous with stillness, or you get anxiety around stillness, which I thought was a very interesting concept.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I'm working on. I mean, that's why I meditate a lot, is I'm just trying to get more comfortable in stillness, and more comfortable just being with myself, and being my own friend, and realizing, I think I associate stillness with like, I have this like old belief that like still is boring and boring is not productive, or like, or something like that causes me to always need to be like going, doing, and revving myself up. And I think I've come to realize that like when I'm actually still and I'm not like fake still, like when I really do slow my mind down, I feel great being still. Like it's actually like life is great. Like life is beautiful. And that's really like something that like meditation has helped me so much, to figure out, is like, maybe there isn't inherently something wrong with me that I need to be figuring out 24/7, like maybe I'm just a person like all other people dealing with whatever I'm dealing with, but in a moment I can, forget about that and just be here. And that's, I don't know, I feel like that's where like the power to make change comes from for me.
Yeah. And it's a cycle that I think a lot of people go through, because once, for whatever reason, a person's afraid of that stillness, number one, if you're trying to go with your gut and check in with your feelings, you're not 100% sure what that data is anymore.
Right.
Because you don't really know. There's like so many things that might cloud it. And then you're running. You're kind of assuming, well, I'm afraid of being still because being still, like you said, is boring, or I have work to do. And at some point, then the question is, well, when do you ever check in?
Right.
With yourself? When do you ever really get to know yourself? When do you ever get to be a friend to yourself?
Right. Which is such a weird it's to me was such a weird concept. Like I just never really liked being, I feel like, I don't know, at least for as long as I can remember, didn't really like being alone. I always wanted to be with friends. I always wanted to be with people. And if I wasn't, I was making music, But I've kind of found the older I've gotten, it's like I need to be able to do more than if I'm alone than sit and make music, because I'm not always inspired, and sometimes it's just too much. So like I need to like learn how to just chill and like watch something, or even just sit and read, or sit in silence, like whatever it is. But I just find I'm such a person that is so like task oriented that I also find alone time really hard, because I start assigning myself things to do and it's not fun anymore, because I'm like, there's no flow. Like I feel like it's all about finding flow for me these days. Is just trying to figure that out.